Hey guys, do you mind if I count down my cold open to you? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey
Let's
guys.
have the one be silent so that we don't hear it on the record.
So hang on. Wait. Let's be. So you're just gonna go 3, 2, 1. Welcome to SmartLess or whatever. But you're gonna say the one or the one silent.
No, I'm gonna say the one's gonna be silent.
Could you start at 5 just to give me more?
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? New SmartLess episode in 5, 4, 3,
We're going live.
2.
Hey guys, what's going on?
No, welcome to SmartLess is what you say.
Welcome to SmartLess. Welcome to SmartLess. Jay, why the layers?
It's just freezing.
Yeah.
Is it?
Here, yes.
It is really cold, but don't you have heat? You can put the heat on a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you end up going for the heat package at your house?
I live with someone who doesn't enjoy the heat package.
Sure.
So, how is it nice and warm over there at your place, Shawnee?
Yeah, we put the heat on in the morning.
You don't sleep with it on?
God, no. Couldn't sleep with it on. You got to put the fan on. I sleep with a fan.
You just pick a different fan every night? You just go find somebody looking for a big fan to sleep?
And, Will, it's pretty cold in New York, is it not?
It's been real chilly, but I love it.
You're in a T-shirt, though, so you're using the heat over there as well.
Well, yeah, the heat's on. It's quite hot, but
It's freezing.
but I also don't. I just came from the gym, so I'm running a little hot right now.
Oh, sure.
Oh, so you're still in your juices right now?
Well, I mean, I showered and stuff, but you've got that
Oh,
thing
you
like your core. Yeah.
You get the you ever get the shower sweats, where you take a shower and then you're hotter after you get out of the shower.
Uh-huh. But
Yeah,
I do. I've been doing ice cold showers for a couple minutes after.
I can't do it. It's not fun.
So wait. So you walk into a really cold shower?
Yeah.
Or do you get it cold while you're in it?
I mix it up. I do both. Today I did just cold, and so I worked out and I did cold, and then I walked home. And it's nice when you come out of the gym and it's been cold and it's cold outside.
Hold it. You showered at the gym?
I did, yeah.
Did you wear shower shoes?
I was thinking about this today.
Shower shoe.
I'm gonna answer your question, but I've been thinking about it a little bit because I brought this up earlier, like when we were on vacation over New Year's, and you washed your hands, and I was like, remember I said, did everybody else die? Did everybody else get a really deep sickness? No. And then I thought about your obsession the other day. You were talking about your colon and stuff, and
slippers in hotel rooms.
Listen, how he's going, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My bamboo shoot clean colon.
Yeah. And it occurs to me that everything you're doing is kind of in vain. It doesn't matter. There's no difference. Your experience
Completely
is not
agree.
different.
It's total crazy town.
Yeah, it's crazy town. So in your obsession with people walking in showers, hotel rooms with no shoes on, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But all I know is that I am that percentage more clean than the dirty girdies that are walking around and grabbing a bunch of...
But I guess what I'm saying is, what is it getting you?
It's just it's sort of a psychosomatic thing. It's just like I feel like I enjoy eating the bread out of the bread basket, knowing that my utensil, which is my fingers, right? Here's the equivalent. The equivalent is if you had a fork that you were about to eat your yummy little fucking carbo with cheese and sauce and shit all over it, pasta dish. If you dropped that fork on the restaurant floor, rubbed it around on the floor, then picked it up, then scooped your pasta, you'd be like, oh, this feels a little gross going into my mouth.
I understand that. Although
that's all it is.
I get it. You know what? And it's rubbed off on me because I was just in Chicago this last weekend. And I went to, and in the hotel I stayed at,
Flex much?
Chicago. And I brought...
Stop screaming.
Oh, Jesus, we get it. You're from Glen Ellen, Illinois.
And I brought I brought slippers, Jason, because and I used them in the hotel room because I took my shoes off and I was like, I'm walking in other people's
And then when you climbed into that clean bed and you pushed your feet to the bottom of that tight little cloth envelope at the bottom, you don't have a bunch of dust and grit and grime falling off. And
envelope. You have the grossest terminologies.
How's your cloth envelope?
When here's what I suspect.
Tuck your nards into the cloth envelope.
Jesus. Here's what I suspect. When it's all said and done, when you are on your deathbed and somebody's
in my clean coffin, unused.
With slippers on your feet.
You bet.
What a fucking the amount of time and energy you've spent thinking and acting on this is so much is valuable time on earth that you've wasted.
Let me tell you something. In my open casket, if you put your dirty fucking hands on my face when you cry and say goodbye to me for one last time, if those hands aren't clean,
I'm gonna go and walk in a hotel room with bare feet, and then I'm gonna get in your coffin with
put your clammy foot on my cheek, on my cold dead cheek,
my hotel feet, and make your kids watch me do it. Here's the other thing. Sean, years ago we were doing my hotel fee. Years ago we were doing Arrested Development. I had to do this whole bit where maybe I mentioned this before. I had to put a pill in Jason's mouth, and he was so all over me about cleaning my hands before
in between every take.
I
think I had a bottle of spray sanitizer in my pocket.
And then they'd be rolling, and I'm like, I didn't wash my hands. And then we start, and he's like fucking freaking out.
Fortunately, my character had to be not into it too, so I
kind of get it though. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, talk to the audience a little bit about what's going on, Sean.
I just blew my nose. All this talk made my nose run.
It's another thing. You drink milk and you blow your nose. I don't think I've blown my nose since I was 12.
Well, what do you do?
Wait a second.
What do you mean?
That's such a bonkers state.
Just nork it in the shower and get on with it.
Ew, all day. What if you have to blow your nose in the middle of the day?
Who's got a runny nose all day, Granddad?
Wait a second.
Do you have a cloth Kleenex in your jacket?
I'm going to save all these and put them in your coffin.
Can I just say, and I just want to say this, and I'm going to put it in terms that Sean can understand. Hashtag relatable, Jason. You so you don't blow your nose, you don't walk with your feet. Do you understand how
And I'm wearing a cashmere robe right now.
And you're wearing a cashmere robe? Nobody can relate to you.
And my nards are in a hot cloth pocket.
Nobody can relate to you at all. Jason, what's your monthly cable bill?
$250 probably.
Probably. You don't
Kills
know.
Me. It kills me every time.
You don't know.
I want to cut the cord. I hope we have a guest that can talk me through cutting the cord.
No, I tell you what, we do.
Tech specialist.
We don't have a tech specialist. Although I don't know I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out.
I know some stuff about him, and I know some stuff about him that a lot of other people know about him because people know this guy because he is a multi Grammy nominated
Open your eyes,
singer,
goddammit. Don't close your eyes when you say that.
No, I have to because I'm leaning into it. This guy has been at the top. He's been at number one on like virtually every Billboard chart, whether it's the all genre chart, breakout,
Jason Momoa.
Best country song, best country song performance. He has addressed issues like mental health issues through his music. He's also testified before Congress to advocate for stricter rules on fentanyl and drugs. He's been such an unbelievable voice of reason in crazy times.
Elton John.
Just an unbelievable talent. And we met him because we introduced him at a concert out on Long Island at our show. You guys, it's nobody other than Jelly Roll.
Got it. I got it before he said it.
I tell you what, I realize where I fall in the hierarchy of country music when Jay gets everybody but me.
You're talking to a real...
Chesney.
I'm a dum-dum. I just saw an article. Kenny Chesney's doing something at the Sphere or something like that. I just saw that article.
I don't want to jump back on a train y'all already got off of, but I would like to share an experience with shower shoes for a second.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Didn't even know they existed,
it's a great time to it. Yeah, well, listen, the fun part is I'm going to tell you where they exist for a different rule. When you are incarcerated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I've had the unfortunate experience of.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Yeah. You have to wear shoes in the shower in case somebody tries to do something to you while you're in the shower.
Wait, so you can run?
No, hang on.
No. So you could fight.
that
So you don't slip. You don't want to slip barefooted. So you want to put your shoes
So you
with
want to
the rubber
supply a
bottoms.
nice firm base to whatever's going on in the shower.
Absolutely. Like, you don't leave your cell if you're incarcerated in a real, like, a violent facility unless you have shoes on. Like, they give you flip-flops, but, like, you walk to the shower in your shoes. And then you normally have a friend stand outside of the shower to make sure you're double safe. But
Really?
The only thing Jason's fighting in the shower is the urge to put a finger in himself to put him over the top.
and then
Just to get
sanitize it 30 times later and not eat for the rest of the day.
By the way, you just described the reason why I don't wear shower shoes.
All right, Jelly Roll, welcome to SmartLess.
It started the way I hoped it would.
Now, are you currently in a hotel room?
I am. I'm currently
Do you have
in Los
slippers on?
Angeles. It's no. I am barefoot.
Are you barefoot?
in here right now.
Goodbye, Jelly Roll.
No,
Thank you for joining.
I'm sorry. It never happens, but I didn't have.
All right.
It's a long story. I left my slides on set.
Jelly Roll, before we get it, now you've just established you're in LA and you're barefoot in the hotel room, and then you alluded to before, we want to get into about being incarcerated, and just a rough estimate, because obviously you can't know. How long do you think Bateman would last in prison? And you could, minutes is fine if you just want to keep it to minutes.
So
how long?
This is where we got to be honest, right? I'm an honest guy.
Yeah, of course.
The Jason
This is gonna
Bateman
hurt.
that we know right now would survive because he would be extorted. So that he would pay for protection, and he would be totally fine.
Oh, okay.
Now, pre Jason Bateman being Jason Bateman,
Yeah.
Right.
maybe a day or two.
Now,
Maybe
do you find that weak, soft folks like me go in and immediately strike a bargain to be a friend, with air quotes, to somebody real tough, and so then you're protected?
That is traditionally how that works out. Yes, sir.
I'm willing to trade my virginity for so that I don't get my my head kicked
listen.
in.
They prefer money.
rather
Everybody
have
needs
money.
a lawyer. Everybody's trying to appeal a case.
But you're not walking in there with money. So how can you pay for security in a prison if you're not walking in there with a wallet?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, back in the days when cash was a real thing, you just smuggle in cash like they did drugs. But now, as you could imagine, it's like everybody's got cell phones in there, so they're like, hey, call
really?
your people and tell them cash at my people.
Hang on, you can have a cell phone in prison?
Cell phone in jail?
You can't have one.
But they do.
That's the catch. Now, they do have tablets. I haven't been locked up in a long time, so I've missed some of this, but they have tablets now from when I go visit jails, they always show me their tablets so they can email and correspond that way. Wow.
No kidding.
But when I was in there, we were smuggling them in.
Yeah, but I've always wondered that same thing. Like, you hear about, like, in jail situations where the inmates can have, like you just said, like cell phones, or they'll smuggle in drugs or certain foods. It's like, well, isn't anybody watching, and like the guards and stuff?
Yeah, it's just
The guards are probably part of the process, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing right
Here's the thing and I'm just going off this list that I just got. It just came in the list of stuff that JB would smuggle. A cashmere robe, slippers, preferably Uggs, but just lined is fine. Also, almonds. Am I saying that right?
Can I also have a pair of socks so that the feet don't get too sweaty in the Ugg slippers?
Socks are featuring Mary's crackers. Not too many, please, because, man, they're addictive.
The blue ones. The blue ones. Yeah.
And no shiv. No shiv.
No shiv. Wait, I do want to. My last question on this is, and JB, you touched on it. How does that happen? Like you kind of joked. You go in day one, you strike a bargain. I mean, I walk in there. I'm me. I'm a total pussy. I walk in and they're like, "All right, you've got money." So, do they reach out to me? How do I know who's the right guy to side with? You know what I mean?
First of all, it's a lot of discernment. A lot of the wrong guys are going to come first. I've seen a lot of guys pay the wrong guy for protection.
Right?
How does that happen? They don't knock on the cell door. They wait until everyone's out for recess.
Yeah, they'll come in your cell when the cell doors pop.
Right.
Okay.
But it's also not as extortionary as we all make it sound. It's like it truly depends on what your crime was, where you were. There's a lot of mitigating, outside of the jokes at jail. There's a lot of politics of why you're there. And
Right.
traditionally, if you keep your mouth shut, you're okay in there.
Really?
Well, do you mind if I ask? And we can cut it if you don't want to talk about it. But why you were in there?
No, I appreciate you asking, Sean. I want to talk about it because I think it's a really important part of my redemption. Is that I was, whenever I was a younger man, I had committed a series of crimes, one of which being a armed robbery case, which is the one that ended up really sending me to prison.
Got it.
But sadly, it's been everything from armed robbery to possession with intent to distribute. I was a 10-year, 12 years in and out of the system kind of kid.
Gotcha.
Caught my first case when I was like 14 years old. From 14 to 25, I probably did most of that decade incarcerated. I call it the revolving doors, that once you get in,
Yeah.
But I think it's important that I talk about it, because it's a big thing. I want to give people hope and second chances, and also I never want to act like I'm running from what I did, or my victim deserves better than for me to act like it didn't happen. You know what I mean? My victim.
that's awesome.
If nobody else, my victim deserves better.
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about second chance. I love your story. You're such a good guy, and truly, and I think that redemption, not enough of a premium is put on it in today's culture. Certainly, we hold people to a crazy standard of one strike and you're out now for a lot less egregious crimes than armed robbery. Somebody might I'm not talking about people who really are saying things to injure people or carrying on in a way that's not. But certainly there are people who fuck up in the public eye. There are people who weren't in the public eye, but it becomes public because they did something at work or whatever. Again, I'm not referring to serious crimes. I'm talking about people who made a mistake that are kind of looked at by society as like, it just doesn't pass. They don't like it. They disagree with it. And so they say, this person is out. And I think that it's a really dangerous idea, because somebody like you're living proof of what can be done when somebody's given a second chance, and can bring a lot of good to the world. Do you agree with that?
Oh, dude, thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's what I hope to represent more than anything, right? Is that, because I don't think I just stand for like criminal second chances. Like, I think I became a voice for like all second chances. Like, I'm a guy that proves that it's never too late to change. Like, when I was nominated for the Best New Artist at the Grammys last year, I was the second oldest artist ever nominated for Best New Artist in the history of the Grammys.
Wow.
So it's not only did I turn my life around, I did it at an age where in our business, in the music business, people would tell me I was crazy for starting.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you ain't caught your teeth by it, sometimes in the acting world, I've noticed that you have guys who are arc later in their career.
Yeah.
But like in the music business, they say that our best work's done between 22 and 27.
Right. Wow. Right.
I didn't even start getting invited to award shows till I was 37. You know what I'm saying? I was 10 years past the music prime.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? It's
but what was because when we all first met you at what I'll call the Jelly Roll Howard Stern event, when I first met you, and this might sound really corny, but you see light in people, you see goodness, you see truth, you see all of those good things that make good people who they are. And the second I met you, you were so kind and outgoing and effusive, and
it's genuine.
And
it's not learned.
It's totally genuine, and I felt it. And first of all, thank you for that, because being a gay person in the place that we all met, I was like, I turned to Will and Jason, I'm like, these are the places that I would get the shit beat out of me, 30 years ago. But so
where, East Hampton?
Yeah, no, that kind of bar. No, that kind of bar, like the grungy bar.
Yeah.
But so I met you. You were so kind and so genuine. And so, what was the thing that was your turning point? What was the thing that made you go, you know what? I can't do that stuff anymore. I have to open myself up. I have to be
the warm guy I am.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, to a testament of what you just said, is that just for the record, we would have kicked somebody's ass for you in there.
Yeah,
so
no,
it would have been a totally different experience for you 30 years later with us.
Yeah.
I think the turning point for me, so to speak, or like what I thought really did it all for me, as cliche as it sounds, was I had my daughter when I was incarcerated.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why. I do know why. I used to say I don't know why, but it's obvious. It was the most honest accountability and self-reflection moment of my life.
Yeah.
That's great.
I had to really sit down and do an assessment of, I just got the news, a guard knocks on my door to tell me my daughter was born. He doesn't know her name. He has no information. And I am just sitting there like, realizing I'm worth like I know this sounds funny, it's jail terms, but in jail you get commissary, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I had like maybe 20 ramen soups, 10 honey buns, a couple of packs of Skittles. Like this is what I had to my name.
Yeah.
I had the one pair of clothes that I was incarcerated in. I had zero money. In fact, I was in debt. I owed restitution to my victim. I owed the courts. You know what I mean? Like I'm in debt. I'm worth, and what the biggest thing I'm the most proud of in life is that I run the poker table and have like 30 soups. You know what I mean? Like that was and I was like, as a father, I should be proud of my daughter. You know what I mean? Like the thing I'm the most prideful about in my whole life is that I've got myself get to such a low point in life that I'm proud of having ramen noodle soups in prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know why, Sean, but man, that just covered me, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I bet. I get it. I get it. Yeah,
it's funny.
It's funny watching Jason. You must just thinking about the sodium from those soups. I saw
Exactly. I was like, yeah, it's like the
1,000
amount of
milligrams of soup.
Oh, it would take a week to burn that off. And we will be right back.
And now back to the show.
So she's out there and you're in there and you're thinking, I got to get out of here. And when I do get out of here, I got to stay out of here. And so that was what started to turn off the not the instinct to commit crime, but just like I'm just going to not have that be a part of what I do anymore.
Yeah, so it's like something clicks, right?
Yeah,
Because I'll bet you didn't learn to be some great, nice, warm, loving human being in jail. You always were that. I would assume that the crime pattern was probably just a reflection of kind of who you were hanging out with, and that people you knew were doing the same thing, and you happened to get caught, and down this path you went.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, and a lot of it too was financially driven.
Yeah.
Like where I lived at the time, the only people that had money did crime.
Right.
In my neighborhood, it was a real clear-cut thing. You either did drugs or you sold drugs.
Yeah. Right.
And even if you sold and did drugs, you were better off than the people that just did drugs. You know?
Gotcha.
Right,
And I know that sounds weird, but and I'm not trying to get into like a bunch of childhood stuff here, but my mother struggled with her own things, from addictive stuff to mental health stuff.
Sure.
My father had alcohol things. Like it was
Yeah.
I was in a house where it seemed very common. Like,
Right. You weren't doing something weird.
yeah, to me, this was what was
get it.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this
Right.
was what
Yeah,
was
of
going
course.
on. It wasn't until
Yeah.
later in life. And there's a famous quote in Alcoholics Anonymous that says, change happens when the pain to remain the same is greater than the pain it takes to change.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
That's cool, right? And that day in jail, I was like, I don't care how painful this change is, I'm gonna make this change. And man, it was, when I go back and speak at jails, the first time I went and spoke at a jail again, I'll never forget, I was leaving and I heard one guy whisper to another guy, he's like, all we gotta do is be rich and famous and all our problems are solved. So the next time I went and spoke, I never tell them the most important part of the story, was that the moment from coming home to jail and deciding I was gonna make the change to seeing the fruits of the change was like a decade-long process.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't bear fruit from that change for 10 years. I was eating
Right.
shit sandwiches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
trying to find my way and living in a van and doing $50 shows and just like,
Yeah.
I was
It's a
willing
daily-
to sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's daily.
When did you find singing? Did you start doing some of that in jail, or were you doing some of that beforehand?
I was rapping more in jail.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of came up in hip hop. It was more of the language of the neighborhood. But I would always sing the chorus. So like Friday nights, we'd go down in the jail cell and we'd beat on the walls. And I don't know how loud it's be, but like kind of how I'm beating on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would go every Friday and I would tap on that window. And I would tap on it for like 2 measures. And before I dropped the first down bass note, you know, the beat. And by the time I got through tapping for those 2 measures, the entire unit, 230 inmates, come downstairs. Jelly's finna rap, Jelly's finna rap.
Wow.
And I would
Power of
always,
music.
yeah, it was crazy, right? And I would sing the chorus, and it was like, there would be like, we'd be free. Like it felt like we were free for the night. You know what I mean? Like everybody's standing on tables, and then I'd write these like choruses like, I'll be gone for a little while, but I can't wait to see your sexy smile. But I wasn't really singing. I was just like doing it like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But they would love it. They'd be like, sing the Gone for a Little While song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because it was like our theme.
Amazing. That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
that's when I didn't
So
realize I had the
powerful.
voice. Yeah, it was so cool watching music moved them people like that.
Did you have an opportunity to meet, when you first started going and speaking in jails and reaching out to guys and helping people who you must have identified were going through the same things that you did? And I know that that's something that, I can relate to that when you meet somebody who's gone through stuff that you went through, and you can go, hey man, and did you then have an opportunity over the years to have guys come up to you and say, hey, I met you years ago. Hey, you changed, like you coming in here and speaking at this jail had an impact on my life, and here's how. Have you had those moments? Mm-hmm. I bet you have.
I've had quite a few of them already, especially rehabs, because so my rule is I'm a man of faith, and my rule is real simple. My faith, what I believe of my faith would require from me, and the person that I follow is that I go speak at jails, I go feed the homeless, I go hang out with the widows, and I go to the rehabs, because that's where I think that the God I serve would want me to go. That's where the representation of him went. You know what I'm saying? So it's
of course.
So I get it a lot, especially out of the rehabs. The jails too. The jails are so different though, because some of them guys I'm singing in front of won't come home for another 10 or 20 years. But I will tell you a cool story. I went to the Oregon State Penitentiary to do I brought the first music to the yard at the OSP, the original penitentiary in Oregon, the only death row left in Oregon, or was the only death row left. And we took the music back to the yard, and there was a guy who'd been in there for 19 years. And he tells my manager, man, he's like, man, I'm coming home at the end of this year. I come home the day after Christmas. I've been gone for 20 years, whatever. I'm just looking forward to hanging out with my daughter. She's 22. I've been gone since she was 2. So we fly him out and his daughter for my New Year's Eve show. So imagine being incarcerated for 20 years. You come straight out. We put you in a first-class flight with your little girl, who's not a little girl anymore. She's 22. And they came down and partied with us in Nashville all of New Year's Eve.
That's amazing.
And I just, I'm thinking about I'm overwhelmed by this, right? And I've been doing this a few years. I just imagine what this guy's feeling, And great, went straight home and got a job, and just the character of a man whose vision and dream in jail was to go do an activity with his daughter. He's like, man, I've missed 20 years of my little girl's life. The first thing I want to do is go home and be a part of her life.
That's so amazing.
How soon after your daughter was born did you get out?
I got home when she was almost 2.
Yeah.
And this story is even probably the coolest part of this whole story, Jay. My daughter, her mother at the time, because I was rightfully so a fucking criminal, wouldn't let me see her. So I had to go to court. I had to get supervised visits through the courtroom. Like, I had to step that very slow, build a relationship. Then 6 hours on Friday evening, but she had to be home before 10 p.m. And then I had to keep going to the court every 6 months and going, look, I'm continuing to prove I'm changing. I'm in college. Look, I'm doing this. I'm like, the music, like being famous wasn't even a thought then. I just wanted to be a good dad. I just came home like I just wanted to focus on just
You're
being
working
the best
on those
father
10
I could
years.
be.
Yeah.
I was, you know what I'm saying? I was just like building that. Fast forward, that same little girl that was born when I was incarcerated is fixing to turn 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
She's got one of the highest GPAs at her high school. She's a dual enrollment kid and is junior going to college. Me and my wife have had full custody of her for 8 years. This is my best friend. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
what a great story.
Wait, so she's been living with you for the last 8 years?
Yep.
No, that's great.
It's awesome, dude.
How cool.
It's such a great story of how anything is possible. It's so great, man. It's again, that part of all of your story I find so inspirational. I mentioned it before too, when you went and testified before Congress, and it was about a year ago, wasn't it? It was like January of last year.
Exactly.
And really advocated for limiting or getting rid of, or what was it, fentanyl and all that stuff. And I remember you were like, I used to be part of the problem. I was a drug dealer, and now I want to be part of the solution. Didn't you say something like that?
That's exactly what I said. Will, thank you. Yes, sir.
And were you trying to help them out on what might be some more efficient ways for them to exact some change?
Yeah. We're working on. There's it's a double-sided sword. We were working on a bill to stop the flow and the demand. So it's trying to figure out the balance. But it was breaking my heart that the statistic I gave, Jason, was, and I don't know if you know this either, Sean, this will blow y'all's mind if you don't, but over 160-something people in America die every single day to fentanyl overdoses.
How many?
160-something. To give y'all the reference I used at the fentanyl hearing that is a 737 plane crashing full of human souls
Every day.
every single day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, if it was a plane that was crashing every single day, I don't predict this happens for 4 days before every airline in America shut down and there is a national
And does
crisis.
something about it.
Right.
If there was 100 and something squirrels in Central Park dying a day, there would be
Yeah.
pickets out there of Save the Squirrels, rightfully so. I'd be one of the picketers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like literally.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just we can't minimize human life because they're struggling with an addiction. Addictions aren't a personal problem.
Right.
That's how we've looked at them as society. We've dismissed addiction as, well, they're getting what they deserve. They chose to do those drugs. And it's like, if you don't really understand addiction, and I could see where you would say that. But now we're in a place where everybody knows an addict. Everybody has a friend or a family member who's like, no, that dude was a great guy or a great woman. And then she got on drugs and I didn't recognize her, couldn't talk to her.
My brother died. My brother was an alcoholic and he died from it. Yeah. And
So, it's totally different. You know?
yeah.
Can you die from chin chin? Because Sean's white knuckling right now.
167 days in a row. I thought that was the number that Sean had the chicken cow. What
Kung
was
Pao.
it?
Kung Pao chicken.
Kung Pao chicken.
It's just going to take you down, Sean.
Yeah.
And
Look, I can't
so,
stop. The wonton soup is
so
incredible.
Jelly, talk a little bit about, man. So you get out, and you decide to make a change because of your daughter, and you've been making music, as you alluded to, while you were there, and now you're out and you're going to school and you're working on reestablishing your relationship with your kids and all that stuff. What's the moment? What's the first musical breakthrough moment? What's the moment where you go, oh, wait a second, we might have something? What's the first song, mixtape? What is it? Walk us through that a little bit.
Thank you. This is a question I never get asked because this is like a throwback. Because I know the tipping point moment, like what Malcolm Gladwell would say was my moment, was a song called Save Me.
Oh, yeah.
But what I know was my moment, because we know our moment before everybody else does, right?
Yeah.
Like as an artist, like we know a moment. It's like, y'all might not have seen it then, but something in me triggered, like, I got something here.
Yeah.
I came home and my buddy had bought a flip cam from Best Buy. His name's Chad Arms. And he was like, hey, man, they got this new thing called YouTube that came out since you've been incarcerated. It was like, it's kind of like Facebook, but only for videos. I was like, fire. He was like, yeah, you got to go to a laptop, right? So he turns on a beat, and I just got out of jail. He's like, yo, just start rapping or something. I'll cut it up later. And I put out this thing called a 10-minute freestyle. It got taken down later because I said something about my parole officer and got in trouble. But I'm just like, I'm a young kid out of jail, so I'm just talking shit, rapping. And he put it on YouTube, and at the time it was called the 10-minute freestyle. And I won't make y'all do the quiz. I normally go pop quiz. Why was it called the 10-minute freestyle? And it's because at the time, YouTube wouldn't let you upload a video longer than 10 minutes. That was the YouTube bandwidth, was 10-minute, 21-second videos. And at the time, they called it viral because it got like 40,000 views. This is baby YouTube infancy. So I was like, this is it. We're going to be, this is going to work. People care. This is like, it was different because when you're passing mixtapes out in the neighborhood, you see the neighborhood caring.
Right.
But it's like, is somebody outside the neighborhood ever going to care? So I was like, there's not 40,000 people in my neighborhood. We're hot. This is real.
Right. You can build an audience and they like what you're doing. People that don't even know you like what you're doing. That's powerful.
Like, it was easier when people knew you. Like school, in y'all's world, maybe like school theater. It's like, of course, but like when you had to go do it at another high school, it's like, whoa, I might be onto something. I'm not a big hit here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you make this YouTube video and you get a little bit of traction, early days of YouTube, and then presumably you make some more and you start doing that kind of more. When do you first start getting like this sniffing around from the corporate entities that like to control these kinds of things and see dollar signs for themselves from you?
Man, I tell you how lucky I got, and I think y'all got lucky like this too, is that nobody's seen what was happening until it kind of happened. So like by the time the labels were calling, I was making 7 figures a year off my YouTube.
Right.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So by the time they call, it's just like, then they call like, hey, we'll give you $1 million. I was like, I made that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You'll
I was
have
like,
to come with
crazy.
something
I was
better
like, y'all
than
got to
that.
call. So then the first call to answer your question directly came in like 2018. We didn't negotiate a deal till 2021. Wow. Because they kept coming like, I was like, I don't think y'all see the metrics, but y'all aren't. When I finally signed my record deal, I love talking about inside baseball, how the sausage is made. It's my favorite.
I know it's so good.
Yeah, we do too. We do too.
I love it.
Yeah. When I finally signed my record deal, I had already had, 3 million or 2.5 million YouTube subscribers, 1 billion views on my YouTube channel.
Amazing.
I'd already had a couple of gold records independently. I was selling 2,000 to 4,000 tickets everywhere in the Midwest and Southeast, everywhere in the Bible Belt or the Rust Belt. If it ended with belt, we were killing there. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, once we got left of Colorado, you know what I'm saying? But we knew we'd work our way out here eventually. It's
Left of
we had
Colorado.
So by the time they started sniffing around, I was like, look, here's kind of where we are, and I got the deal I dreamed of.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because they had to do something better than what you're already doing.
How about this? Y'all will get this. I own 100% of my master recordings. I own 100% of my publishing. I own my IP completely. I own everything to do with who I am as me.
And now you have a whole library that is you can hold on to for the rest of your, pass it on to your daughter or whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Yep. Just you know what I did with it? Paid the taxes on it early and put it in the trust and let it grow.
Yeah.
You know, put the catalog there for the family. Let them. I broke generational curses, baby.
Yeah.
How did you? And then so you jumped into that community of I'll say in quotes legitimacy, right? Where you're at these shows with all of these sort of established acts and these record labels and all of the sort of the infrastructure. How have you found that community? You know, because you came from such a
you're an outlier.
And it's you're the real deal. And how has that merged with you, and how have you merged with them?
It's been great. It's been really cool. They my deal from the beginning was, look, man, I'll trust y'all if y'all trust me. So, you know, let's just not question each other at all. So when y'all ask for something, I'm not going to question y'all. Y'all know what y'all are doing. But equally, if I tell you I want to put out an album a year or 30 songs on an album, or I start making some of these what might seem like crazy artistic choices, I was like, you just got to let me ride my wave. This is what I've been doing. This is just the way I operate. You know, I came into a label that was used to doing, at the time, 2-year, 3-year album cycles, and I put out an album a year for the first 3 years on my deal.
Wow.
You know, I just came in at a totally different pace.
Well, they're smart to listen to you because more people in those positions should listen to the artist. I mean, you're you because you're of who you are. Like, you'll make them the money they're looking for if you just leave you alone.
And it's borne fruit. You've had these #1 singles. You've had, your single "I Am Not Okay." Well, I mean, which is a great song. It's such a great song. And as I alluded to in the intro, it deals with, you know, ideas of mental health and really talking about it openly. I love that song, dude. I think it's really powerful and inspirational. And but that was a massive hit. And that came, that's the record label trusting you and you going, I know what I'm doing. And then you put a song like that out that just explodes.
For sure.
That must have felt vindicating. Like,
it felt
I know
great,
what I'm doing.
especially with the label, because I'm like, I just came off the song Save Me with Laney, which was a huge hit for me, but it was a big ballad. So here I am going back to the label. I'm like, hey, look, I don't want to turn it. I know y'all are going to think I'm the male Adele here, but it's like, I've got another big ballad that I love. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I think it's going to touch people. You know,
Madelle is a good song. Is a good name.
Madelle. I'll take that one, Sean. I'll steal it. What if I name my album that?
Forgive my my naivete, but if I'm a label and I no longer have to print albums and cassettes and DVD or CDs or whatever the hell it is, what would be the burden that I would have to bear if my artist wants to put out an album a year? Like, in other words, how much do I have to spend as a label? Because you're making the music and then you just put it out digitally. Is there, what would give them pause to have that kind of frequency?
Man,
you know?
Spot on. What would be the biggest pause for most artists, not me, is that they need their money.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they're going to record a new album, they got to tap in and go, hey, I need $1 million.
Oh, I see. So they just got to pay you your fee. But are they fronting you that fee that they then can claw back with the sales? Gotcha.
And at the rate of the deal, it's the worst thing in the music business. I've been preaching against this for so long. I refuse to do it. That's why I don't take their money at all. Right? Is that because in any other business, what the record businesses do to artists would be illegal. Right? Like if a bank did it or a car lot did it, they'd shut them down. Okay.
Because
you're not allowed to put an interest rate on that kind of money.
Right.
But if you don't call it a loan, you call it an advance.
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I take the word loan out of it, I call it an advance, and then we recoup it at the rate of the deal. So let's say, Jason, excuse me.
Do you need to blow your nose? Sean, can you run over there real quick?
Thank you, Sean. Let's say y'all three do a SmartLess album, right?
Sure. What instrument would each of us play? Go ahead and assign us each an instrument.
Okay, everybody gets an instrument. I
What
think
do
this would be
what do
something
strike you
unique.
as?
You look like you could rock a saxophone.
That's
It
hurtful.
could be a
Go ahead.
really cool curveball to see you with a saxophone.
Uh-huh.
I would love to see, just because I think this would be so out of pocket for the crew, is if Sean was like the electric guitar player
Yeah,
and he carried
sure.
like a big, just gaudy Gretsch, just one of
Not
them
believable.
huge, oversized
Right.
guitars.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
Will's on the keytar?
No, you got to have a drummer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Will's not a drummer.
He fancies himself a drummer.
The most athletic of us. Yeah.
Oh,
the
there it
youngest
goes.
skewing, most athletic.
And I'm just blowing things.
Yeah. But let's say I
Yeah.
get,
Just stick with what you're good at, dude. Blowing hair.
Wet my reed. All right. So,
but
all right.
pretend
So,
y'all get the deal. Pretend y'all get the
Yeah.
deal, right? And I say it's a 70-30 deal, 70% in the favor of the label, 30% for y'all, and I'll give you $1 million to record the first SmartLess album, right? You're like, okay, we get 10% apiece. You know, they're putting up all the money, you sign the deal. But the problem is I recoup at the rate of the deal, which means every time SmartLess makes $1, I take 70 cents of that dollar and I go, this is mine, that was our deal. You're like, yep. And then I go, now this would be your 30 cents, but I'm going to put this 30 cents towards the $1 million you owe me.
right.
Wow.
Yeah, that
That is a 70% interest rate, gentlemen. I don't care how you slice or butter that bread.
Yeah.
Now you found legal loopholes to make it not that, but ultimately that's absurd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
And now back to the show.
Now let me ask you something. How did you become so savvy? Did you have your pitfalls along the way and you learned and this is the result of that is now you're like, I know how to do deals now, because you must have made some bad ones in order to know what good ones are.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. And the cool thing was nobody wanted to sign me. So like when nobody wants to work with you, but you're like, I had to figure it out myself.
Right.
Right. So you had to make it yourself. And by the time they came to you and they're like, hey, here's how the deals are, you're like, hang on a second. The math doesn't add up.
Yeah.
I don't need your fucking money under your system.
I'm making plenty on my own.
Right. When you when you kind of see that, when you see that math up front, you go like,
Yeah.
No, as soon as you see it, and then you're aware, because I've done enough distribution deals. And early in my career, I had to take a little money. So you'd go get $100,000, and then you'd see it took you 6 months to pay the $100,000 back. And you're like, by the time I paid the $100,000 back, they made $500,000.
Right.
Right.
I was like, I'm tripping. This is, it wasn't even, you go through that enough times that when it finally happens, the label calls like, hey, we'll give you that. And that's where labels kept messing up. The first 3 or 4 labels, I love talking about this. The first 3 or 4 labels that would call me would just offer me money. They thought I was just some dumb redneck, which they were right, but they thought I was a dumber redneck than they thought I was.
Right.
And they would come and they'd be like, hey, listen, I'll never forget one label said, it's a blank check. Like whatever you want it to be within reason, you put the amount of money you want us to give you, and then we'll put a number of albums with it.
Right. Gotcha.
And I had a guy at the time who was ill-advising me, who was like, let's just ask for like 10 or 20 million bucks, dude. This will change both of our lives forever. He was like kind of managing me a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, right then I was like, I think I need to find another manager. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't think this is right.
Yeah.
I was like, because I'm also in a space where, mama didn't raise no fool. You know what I mean? It's like, I was smart enough to go, if they think I can make $20 million, and that's
Right.
what these people do, is they count beans and determine if people can make $20 million. I think I can make $20 million. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I was
yeah.
like, maybe I'm crazy to think that, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like,
No,
we
they
should just go
showed their
figure it out.
cards. Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
anytime somebody comes at you with a number and says, hey, this is out of the blue and says, this is what we want to give you, you're like, all right, this is a great starting point.
Right.
We're obviously worth
Exactly.
way more
They're
than
building in a pad that's favorable
we've
to
had
them.
our own we've had our own experience with that ourselves.
Hey, but industry standard on the deal structure for live performance, so touring and stuff like that, is much more in the favor of the artist. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, Yeah, always. Ancillary participation is what they call it, to try to get us away from the 360 deal, which is what it is still. They just gave it a cooler name. But it's always in favor of the artist, depending on what your deal was and how much money you took. I know some artists in town that did bad ancillary deals too, though. They did like 50-50 or 70-30 ancillaries. So they're in this 80-20 record deal where they're only getting 20% of their streaming royalties, don't own any of the masters. 100% of the masters will owned by the label for the rest of their careers.
Right. That's crazy.
And then they go out and they'll do a 60-40 ancillary participation. And the problem with that
Meaning the concerts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that if I give the label even 80%, 20%, let's say I said, you know what, we've done great. Y'all built my profile. I'll give you 20%. Booking agent wants 10.
Yeah.
Management's still coming in at 15. Business manager's still at 5, which I've negotiated all those fees back over the years. But I mean, we know how this works. I mean, if you just, next thing you know, there's what I try to advise artists is this: you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to make what your manager's making if you're not careful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
where you're
The
going to look
difference
one
is
day,
they've got
when you
12
and your
other
manager
clients
move
that-
in the same neighborhood together, you're in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Do you get to keep all the merchandise money? How does that work?
It's normally in the ancillary.
Same ratio?
But yeah, just whatever that is.
ticket
But
sales? Yeah.
It's out of mind completely.
Do you feel like you have to tour, whether that's emotionally, financially, spiritually, or do you want to tour? Because I ask people this often who come on the show who are musicians or in bands, because I'm such a homebody. Like whenever I have to go anywhere and pack and then shack up at a hotel and like
Pack is the reason.
Yeah, like pack a suitcase.
The idea of going out and learning in the world is really what really holds me back is the idea that I have to fucking pack. Then hire somebody to fucking pack for you.
I hate packing.
You're not learning anything at your fucking house. Jesus Christ.
Maybe I am.
Both you guys,
I'm learning a lot today from
That's the
Mr.
idea of
Roll.
Washing in a strange room.
No, well, the whole point of all of that was I'm such a homebody. I can't imagine going on tour all the
So
time.
different
every
way of
year.
saying he's lazy, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. What's that like for you?
Well, I think it's a need and a want. I need to write music.
Yeah,
That's something I know for my spirit and my therapy. Like I have to write songs. Like there's something in me. I'm very empathic. I meet people every day. I hear these stories about how my music has helped people through dark moments, and that stuff sits with me.
Yeah.
But I don't find a way to exercise that. Touring for me is just the old school. Like I'm an old school rock and roll dude, man. Like I still smoke pot and play the guitar a couple hours every day just for fun if I can. You know what I mean? Like it's still like just get lost in jamming and learning other people's songs. Like I love this life. I love the pace. I love the bus. I love the smell of diesel fuel. I love pilot truck stops at 6 a.m., Sean.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's
That
great.
stuff
Sean
is the
does
stuff
too,
that does
different
something
reason.
for me.
In my 20s, different reason for truck stops.
There's change. Yeah.
What was it like? What was the moment when you got that first Grammy nomination? What was?
Oh, I cried, baby.
Yeah, I'm
snot
sure.
rocket
Did you?
crying.
Did
Just,
you?
Oh, nasty. Couldn't quit crying. Then I called my mama to tell her, and I videoed myself calling her, and my mom was a little older, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mom, I just got, I'm snot rocketing, so she can't hear me. I'm just blowing snot bubbles. And she goes, you said something about some money? I said, no, Mama. I said the Grammys. She said, look, you said your granny. I said, no, Mama. I said, I just got nominated for a Grammy. And she's so funny. She goes, well, that's good. And then 2 seconds later, she goes, hey, I seen a picture of you and Tanya Tucker together. How cool was she? I'm still crying. And my mama's asking about Tanya Tucker, the country singer. She had seen a picture of us together on the internet. She's like, what's up with Tanya Tucker, though?
Wow.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man. It was, in our business, it don't get no bigger, man.
Right.
The easiest way to describe it is I've been blessed to win a CMA. I've been blessed to win an ACM. I've been blessed
You
to win
swept
a
the
CMT.
CMAs,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I mean, you cleaned
That's
up.
I've had
cool.
some big moments. And being nominated for a Grammy, just the nomination trumps all those.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before I got nominated for a Grammy, I was introduced as the CMA ACM award-winning multi-platinum recording artist.
Right.
I am now introduced real easy. Grammy nominated recording
Right.
artist, Jelly
Yeah.
Roll. Just
Yeah,
being
yeah.
nominated got rid of every award I'd ever won, even being in my title.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what
really
I'm saying?
cool.
Like
That's
that's how
really
cool
cool.
it is.
So who would you be most excited to meet at a big event, like say like the Grammys or something like that?
Ooh, That's a good one because at the last Grammys, I got to meet Taylor. Taylor Swift came and talked to me, and I felt like the belle of the ball, dog. When I tell you, I felt like king shit. I felt the same way I felt when Howard Stern hugged me. When Howard hugged me, I was like, dude, this dude likes me for real. I'm looking, and Taylor's walking across the room, and it's like, this is Taylor Swift, so you're just watching people part like the Red Sea. They're just like... And as she's walking, my wife grabs me. She goes, I think Taylor's walking over here. I was like, no. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. And I was like, no, I think she's walking over to Boy Wonder because Boy Genius was sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
And I think she's walking over to Boy Genius. And she did. She walked right up to me and gave me a hug. It was super cool. I was like, oh, this is
That's amazing.
And then I was so nervous, I fumbled. I forgot. I was going to tell her this great emotional story about how I pushed my daughter on the swing set at a park she'd built in her old hometown.
Yeah.
And I just could not remember. I was like, the park, my daughter. I was like, I'm just so bad.
You'll get that chance again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I got to meet Jay-Z there, too. It was really cool. Stevie Wonder. I mean, it was definitely, Ed Sheeran came and talked to me. I mean, it was really cool.
All good people, yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. It's funny. I was thinking about your song, I'm Not Okay, but Save Me, and all your songs, and what is Son of a Sinner. And I got to hang out with a country singer-songwriter a few months ago. We were on a late night, and he was playing all his songs, but acoustically. There were a bunch of us in this room. And I was like, and when I was listening to him play these songs acoustically and singing with the power and the emotion, I was like, these are the poets of our time. Country music has become they speak about the heart of what's going on, and when you listen to the lyrics and you listen to the passion, especially in an acoustic setting, I found it when it was like really stripped down, it blew my mind, man. I was so moved by this. It was probably a guy. Do you know Thomas Rhett? It was,
of course.
Yeah,
so I was my buddy.
Yeah, I was with Thomas,
special,
and he was playing some of his songs, and he was playing lots of other people's songs as well. Man, it was, and it's true. I mean, I don't know how much you guys, Sean and JB, have listened to a lot of the country that's coming out now and the stuff that it's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff.
Well, you got to think all the poets have always ended up in Nashville. Bob Dylan went out of his way to come down here and write and do Nashville Skyline. One of the only places James Taylor frequented besides his island of his own where he wrote at up on the Northeast was he'd come to Nashville every now and then. It's always kind of leaned that way. And I think that we're having the biggest moment we've ever had with it. But what you got to experience is what I tell people that makes country music more special than every genre is that it's all about the song with us.
Yeah.
It's all about the hits with the other genres. Like, not in a bad way, but it's a lot of production. It's a very produced thing. But like in our business if I take all that shit out and I just grab my guitar right now, or if I grab this piano right now and I break this song down to just me and you acoustic, it really makes the song stand out.
Right, and what
You know
you're
what I mean?
talking about, yeah.
It's incredible. I was so moved in a way that it was really unexpected, man.
No, dude, it's especially when you get to do it like that. Like when we're all, the best is when you get 3 or 4 or 5 of us in a room together and we're playing past the guitar.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
It's awesome when we're like, yo, what did you write? He's like, yo, I wrote this last week. And then Thomas Rhett singing a song that might not ever come out that he just wrote. And then I'm singing a song I might not ever put out that I just wrote. Because it's like anything else, I just wrote it, so I think it's the best song I ever wrote. I got to listen to it for 2 months before I'm like, that song's not that good.
Listen, I'm not trying to create my own private concert for me, but what I would like to do, and my dream would be to come to like Nashville and hang out with you and Tom. What a great guy. You guys would love him too, right? He's such a great guy, right, Jelly? I mean, he's the
best.
awesome.
Salt of the
what
earth.
a
Salt of the
talent.
earth. Yeah.
Talent and
Great
awesome
husband,
guy.
great father. I mean, just present.
Just
great
all
dude.
around. But to come in and hang out, that would be like a dream. That would be a total dream to be a fly on the wall with a bunch of you guys. That it would be unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, come anytime. We the cool thing about it is we do it.
Wow.
I think it's similar to what y'all do. It's what made SmartLess the biggest podcast on the earth. We immediately heard 3 friends who are at the top of their class, but are buddies at core, just hanging out and being fucking buddies.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's us. Like, when we're all sitting around together passing the guitar, like, we're not a bunch of country music superstars. We're a bunch of dumbass songwriters trying to show that we can still write dumbass songs.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right. Two buddies and Jason, and we do the show, and that's we got him, everybody. We got him.
How about this? This is probably as stupid as all the other questions I ever ask. But what about? I would imagine that your life before things got better was a richer pot from you to pull from to write songs versus now. The question is, are you as inspired with stuff to write about now that things have the edges a little bit more rounded in your life, deservedly so, or are you still finding stuff that really grabs your heartstrings now?
I pull from a little less personal pain, but
Yeah.
I've gotten 1,000 more muses.
Okay,
So
great. Gotcha.
it kind of balanced itself out. I'm not making this number up. I'm sure y'all do too, but I get thousands of messages across every platform a day. And 70% of them are like real, hey man, your song helped me out of a hole. I got sober to your music. I dealt with the death of my father with cancer to this song. Like this song, like we played this at my mother's funeral. We played this at my cousin who had a fentanyl overdose's funeral. So like it goes back to me being very empathic.
Yeah.
I feel this. Like I'm the kind of guy that's like, if you start crying, I will cry. We will cry together. I have a Nobody Cries Alone policy.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
love that.
saying? It's just automatically.
I love
so
that.
it's
I love
like
that.
I hear
I
these
love that.
stories. I hear these stories every day. So I had a man. I've never said it this way, but there was a moment I thought I was special because of where I was from and what I've been through. Like I thought, like, oh, the world's clicking for me because all this shit I went through is like makes me special. And then I realized what makes me special is that we've all been through some sort of shit.
Yeah.
And that I am a representation of that. And once I realized that I wasn't telling my unique specialty story, I was telling the story of millions of Americans who have felt the same kind of pain. And don't take this, Sean, to speak on it, but I speak for Sean's brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I am an active voice for Sean's brother right
That's
now.
nice.
Whether Sean knew that before this call or not, is that most of my life mission is getting people to understand that alcoholics and addicts are good people. They're not bad people. They're just
That's
in the
right.
middle of a bad situation.
That's exactly
And
right.
it's one of the
You know what I
core
mean?
tenets of recovery is that idea is that you're exactly right. You're not unique. It's that people can identify with
Exactly.
that. And it's through that identification, that it creates community. And community is the opposite of addiction. When you can create that, man,
That's it.
it's
Talk
so
to me.
powerful.
The opposite of addiction is connection, baby. You're speaking to me, Will. Let's go,
That's
baby.
it. That's
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's
that's so true.
It's so true. It's so true.
And then when you do that, when you go through that, and everything that you've been through, and everything you just said, Mr. Roll, is that you are now, like I said at the beginning of this interview, you are now a light, and you speak so eloquently about everything you've been through, and the kind of enlightenment that you've gone through, and it's such like people are now drawn to you for those reasons, and people seek out your advice, your guidance. It's really
And
fascinating.
they're uplifted through that connection.
Yeah, the message is different a message always hits different when it comes from one of its own.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why I go back to jails, and that's why I go to rehabs, because I remember none of our own ever came back and talked to us. So no matter how well-intentioned other people were, it just didn't hit. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't coming from a place that we could like.
And it lights you up as much as music lights you up. The messaging.
Man.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love
baby.
that. I love that.
Baby. It's my real purpose, man. It's to serve.
Giving it away is the best feeling of all, right? I mean, that's where the power comes from. That's the hack that people don't.
If you need a blessing, be a blessing, baby.
Yeah,
Be a
man.
blessing,
Yeah.
be a blessing.
Well,
I
it's
love
like,
that.
if you're feeling unloved, it's because you're not being loving. That's been my experience. And if I push love out on people, I get that back on me.
That's right.
Tenfold.
That's,
And
basically,
that's the hack.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Couldn't
It's
say it like that.
100% true. If you're, and this is a hack that I'm a little reluctant to share, but this is totally true. That I find if I'm feeling low, or if I'm feeling like unconnected, or I'm feeling lonely, or whatever, I reach out to somebody else and ask them how they're doing. It's the most unbelievable, and you get.
I'm going to
and
send you my number in the chat. Just
Yeah.
at the bottom of the screen.
We
there,
know
Will.
how you're doing. You're at home in your thing. And Sean, I know where you're at home having no experience. It's a sad Hollywood story. They can't even do a real life Hollywood story because there's not enough info. There's not enough life. They can't fill an hour because it's too boring. It's got famous and rich and sat in his house. Who's going to watch that?
A webisode. We could do a webisode.
We might be able to do a webisode. We'll go back, Jason. We'll produce it for Dum Dum.
Look at Scotty got me this pencil holder. It's a little typewriter.
There we go.
I'm
There we
excited
go.
about that.
That took up a week. That was a week. That was a week of shit just to get that. Jelly Roll, man, I honestly, having you here has been so amazing.
This is awesome.
Yeah, you're just such an inspiration, and thank goodness that you are who you are, man. You've touched a lot of people. You certainly touched me, and I know you've helped a lot of people. So thank you for your kindness and your voice and everything, and your music
example.
and your artistry,
Yeah.
all of it, dude.
Will,
Honestly.
thanks for inviting me on. Jason, thanks for mistaking me for Kenny Chesney, who's a foot shorter and 300 pounds lighter. Sean, I love you to absolute death, man.
Thanks.
I love all of
Likewise.
y'all.
Likewise.
I can't thank y'all enough for what y'all are doing for the world, man. How happy y'all are making people, how much joy you're bringing to people's
Well,
car
back
rides
at ya.
every day. It's
Thanks.
Man, I just hope y'all know that this was. I'm sure y'all did it just to just to connect with each other, and it just kind of spread. But man, you are helping so many people, man. You are a direct servant, man. You don't even. I'm sure you know it. I'm acting like y'all don't know, but you're serving people, dog. Like
that. I hope
you're
so.
not. You're not wasting an hour or two of your life every day just shooting the shit with your friends, man. You're helping a lot. My therapist listens to y'all. He's never been excited about me doing anything, but this was like a really big deal. This and Jay Shetty for him were like, whoa, I
that's
can't
great.
believe.
I'm sure you're as thankful as we are that people are actually listening to what it is we want to say, right? And, it's a real joy.
It's a
Y'all lead with love, baby. Y'all
Thanks,
lead with
pal.
love.
And if you're ever in LA, please let's have a meal or something. I would love
Yes,
it.
please.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll link
Yeah.
for sure.
Clear
Well,
up your
I'll
night.
reach out. I'd love to see y'all again sometime, man. Love to hang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, the great Jelly Roll. Thank
Love
you,
y'all.
brother.
Thanks
Thanks for
buddy.
being with us.
Peace, boys.
What a nice man. That's a nice way
Yeah.
to start the day.
I didn't get a chance
Incredible,
to
right?
talk to him at our event. Just said hello.
Me neither, but I
he-
was struck as you were, just how infectious his light, his energy was, his warmth when he shook our hands. It was kind of.
He's the kind of guy you want to hang out with. You want in your life. It'll make your
of
life
course you
better.
do.
Those
Yeah.
kinds of people make your life better.
There's a guy again, like he's just when he's turned his life around and he's dedicated his life to making other people's lives better.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
That option is available to you, Will.
Yeah.
Listen,
You
I'm
could
out
start
there in the world.
today.
I'm trying. I mean, I'm not the one. Again, I can't. You guys have nothing to talk. What do you talk about on a talk show? It just occurred to me. There's nothing.
What are you talking about?
I come up with bits.
Yeah.
I come up with bits. Funny stories.
Come up with.
I tell garbage about how I don't like to walk around hotel rooms with my bare feet and crap like that. I just make it up.
Oh my God. But we know them all. Haven't you run out of them?
Oh, yeah, I do need some new stories.
I know.
Will, you're always like, you got to go see the world so you have something to talk about.
It's true. Well, just not even just on talk shows, just in general. Read books, meet people.
I do. Get off my fucking back.
No. I'm not going to get off your fucking back. I was put on this planet to be on your back, egging you on. I want you to be a better. I love Sean Hayes,
Yes.
and I want the best for him. Okay?
That's very nice.
Yeah, but why don't you could just turn on CNN International and you could
No,
see
you're
it
not,
now
'cause you're at
safely.
home.
Or watch a movie
It's
with
about
whatever
getting
landmark you want to see.
into the world, it's
But it's just, what about my sheets and my pillow and my
Yeah, or Sean, you should get to what you're looking at on your screen. Go ahead. What was your thought?
I'm looking. I can't
Are you
find
trying to
one.
think of? Well, if you could travel a lot back and forth to Los Angeles and New York, if you had two.
Well, we've
No,
done
we've
that.
used
We've
that one
done
so many
that.
times.
Yeah.
What? No. What about this? But I don't want to travel anywhere because I'd miss you guys. Because if I leave somewhere, I'd have to wave.
Good.
Bye. I feel like we've done that too. That's
Oh,
great.
We never come up with anything where "by" is in the middle of a word.
Okay, win by a nose. Saw him go by. 2 by 2. Selling by him.
Hey,
Sitting by him.
listen.
A house by the lake.
The good news is you
what
can
is
go anywhere in the world, right?
Sure.
And you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do stuff.
Yeah.
And if something happens back home, if somebody gets hurt, somebody gets
Yeah.
killed, and the
Yeah.
cops interview
Yeah.
you, if you're
Yeah.
out of town, you've
Yeah.
got a great
Bye.
Oh, that's good. Bye.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Bennett Barbaco, Michael Grant Terry, and Rob Armjarf.
SmartLess.